Summary and Case Study of Range: Why Generalists Triumph in a Specialized World by David Epstein. Short summary. Range challenged the widely held belief that early specialization and deliberate practice are the keys to success. Epstein argues that a broad range of experiences and knowledge, often gained through a sampling period followed by focused practice, are crucial for adaptability and success, especially in a world characterized by rapid change and complexity. He examines various fields, including sports, music, science, and business, demonstrating that individuals who have acquired knowledge across different domains, or have taken time to explore various fields, are often better equipped to tackle difficult problems, innovate, and adapt to changing circumstances. The text ultimately contends that head starts are overrated, and that a more diverse and exploratory approach to learning is more likely to yield long-term success and fulfillment. The introduction. Epstein challenges the prevalent notion that early, narrow specialization is the key to success. Using the contrasting stories of Tiger Woods and Roger Federer, Epstein introduces the book's central theme: the advantages of breadth, diverse experiences, interdisciplinary thinking, and delayed specialization in a world increasingly pushing for narrow expertise. Tiger Woods, a household name synonymous with golfing excellence, embodies the archetype of early, focused specialization. His rigorous training regimen, instilled from an early age by his father, reinforces the belief that intensive practice within a specific domain is the primary driver of success. This narrative aligns with the popularized 10,000 hours rule, which posits that the amount of time dedicated to highly specialized training directly correlates with skill development, regardless of the field. Roger Federer, on the other hand, represents a contrasting path to mastery. Federer's journey involved sampling a variety of sports during his youth before dedicating himself intensely to tennis later in his development. This sampling period allowed him to acquire a range of physical proficiencies, discover his strengths and preferences, and ultimately thrive in his chosen sport. Epstein argues that Federer's path, characterized by breadth and delayed specialization, is more common than the Tiger Woods model, not just in sports but across various fields. This challenges the prevailing narrative that emphasizes early specialization as the sole determinant of success. To illustrate this point, Epstein presents examples of prominent athletes like Tom Brady and Esther Ledecka, both of whom engaged in multiple sports before specializing. He cites prominent sports scientist Ross Tucker, who summarizes research findings by stating, "We know that early sampling is key, as is diversity." Epstein further strengthens his argument by highlighting his own experience with military veterans transitioning to new careers. These individuals, despite their non-linear career trajectories, possessed a wealth of life experiences and leadership skills that they initially perceived as drawbacks. This observation sparked Epstein's exploration of research on specialization and career shifts beyond the realm of sports. His research revealed several compelling findings. 1. Early career specialists initially earned more after college, but later specialists eventually closed the gap by finding work that better aligned with their skills and personalities. 2. Individuals who actively sought experience in different domains, as opposed to focusing deeply on one, demonstrated increased creative impact, both as technological inventors and artistic creators. 3. The purported necessity of hyperspecialization, often promoted through marketing in sports and beyond, obscures the reality that the Roger path to stardom is more common than the Tiger path, even though those stories are rarely told. Epstein underscores the potential downsides of overspecialization, citing the 2008 global financial crisis as a stark example. During this crisis, highly specialized groups within banks, trapped in their respective silos, failed to grasp the interconnectedness of the financial system, leading to disastrous consequences. The introduction concludes by emphasizing the crucial need for individuals who embrace diverse experiences and perspectives, Rogers, to navigate the complexities of our increasingly interconnected world. Examples of range benefiting individuals. 1. Scientists. A study showed that scientists who had worked across a variety of fields were more likely to make groundbreaking discoveries than those who focused solely on one area. 2. Entrepreneurs. Research indicated that tech founders in their mid-40s were more likely to launch successful startups than their younger counterparts, suggesting that the experience and broader perspective gained from a longer career path contributes to entrepreneurial success. 3. Musicians. Studies revealed that exceptional musicians often played multiple instruments and engaged in diverse musical activities before specializing in a particular instrument or genre later in their development. Chapter summaries and case study. Chapter 1. The Cult of the Head Start. Twist explores the pervasive belief that starting early and specializing narrowly is the surest path to success, and presents evidence that challenges this assumption. Twist opens with the story of Laszlo Polgar, a Hungarian who, deeply affected by the loss of his family in the Holocaust, became determined to create a special family of his own. Polgar believed he could mold his children into geniuses through a carefully crafted head start in a chosen field. Twist then examines the Polgar experiment in detail, highlighting the rigorous training regimen he imposed on his 3 daughters, whom he homeschooled, focusing intensely on chess. Despite initial skepticism from experts, all 3 daughters achieved remarkable success in the world of chess, with Susan Polgar becoming the first woman to earn the title of Grandmaster. While the Polgar sisters' achievements seem to support the Head Start philosophy, Epstein cautions against drawing simplistic conclusions. He introduces the concept of a kind world, one with clear rules and predictable outcomes, where deliberate practice and early specialization lead to predictable success. Chess, in this context, represents a kind world. However, Epstein argues that the real world is often wicked, characterized by complex systems, unclear rules, and unpredictable outcomes. To illustrate the distinction between kind and wicked environments, Twist examines the impact of rapid societal and economic transformations in the Soviet Union during the 1930s. Psychologist Alexander Luria, witnessing these changes, conducted a natural experiment to assess the cognitive effects of modernization on remote villagers. Luria's findings revealed that exposure to modern concepts and abstract reasoning significantly influenced villagers' cognitive abilities, suggesting that the development of adaptable thinking skills is crucial for navigating the wicked world. Twist then shifts to explore the limitations of narrow specialization. Epstein argues that hyperspecialization can lead to a brittle mindset, inhibiting individuals from adapting to unexpected situations or solving problems outside their narrow field of expertise. He emphasizes the importance of cultivating habits of mind that enable individuals to think critically and connect ideas across disciplines. To support this argument, Twist presents the views of James Flynn, a renowned intelligence researcher, who contends that college education often fails to adequately develop students' capacity for abstract and interdisciplinary thinking. Flynn advocates for teaching students how to think critically before focusing on specialized content knowledge. He cites the popularity of the Calling Bullshit course at the University of Washington as an example of the growing demand for broad critical thinking skills. He concludes by revisiting the world of music education. While classical music training often emphasizes early specialization, Epstein argues that even in this seemingly kind domain, there are diverse paths to success. He cites research showing that many accomplished musicians had sampled multiple instruments and musical styles before focusing on a specific area later in their development. The Cult of the Head Start chapter ultimately challenges the simplistic notion that early specialization guarantees success. It emphasizes the importance of developing adaptable thinking skills, fostering a willingness to experiment, and recognizing that diverse experiences can be invaluable, even in fields that seemingly demand early, narrow focus. 5 examples of Head Start thinking. 1. Laszlo Polgar's belief in genius development. Driven by the tragic loss of his family in the Holocaust, Laszlo Polgar embarked on a mission to prove that genius could be cultivated through a carefully designed head start. He believed that any child could achieve exceptional success in any field, provided they received the right training from a very young age. This conviction formed the foundation of his experiment with his 3 daughters. 2. The Polgar sisters' chess training. Laszlo Polgar chose chess as the domain for his daughters' training. He homeschooled them, providing a highly structured learning environment that revolved around chess. Their days were filled with intensive practice, tournaments, and analysis, showcasing the emphasis on early, focused specialization within a kind world. This approach, though unorthodox, yielded remarkable results, with all three daughters becoming renowned chess players. 3. The kind world of chess. Twist contrasts the controlled environment of chess with the unpredictable nature of the real world. Chess, with its clear rules and predictable outcomes, represents a kind environment where deliberate practice can lead to consistent success. This example highlights how the allure of a head start is particularly strong in domains where the path to mastery is seemingly straightforward. 4. The contrast of wicked environments. Twist juxtaposes the kind world of chess with the wicked nature of the real world. The rapid societal and economic transformations in the Soviet Union during the 1930s provide an example of a wicked environment, characterized by complexity and unpredictable outcomes. This example illustrates how narrowly focused training, while potentially beneficial in kind environments, can be limiting when faced with the ever-changing demands of the real world. 5. The Calling Bullshit course. Twist discusses the increasing demand for critical thinking skills, exemplified by the popularity of the Calling Bullshit course at the University of Washington. This course focuses on teaching students how to identify and deconstruct misleading or flawed arguments. The inclusion of this example emphasizes the need for broad, adaptable thinking skills, which go beyond specialized knowledge and can be applied across a variety of domains, especially in a world increasingly susceptible to misinformation. Chapter 2: How the Wicked World Was Made. Twist opens by introducing James Flynn, a political studies professor who revolutionized the understanding of intelligence with his discovery of the Flynn effect. This effect refers to the significant and consistent rise in IQ scores across generations throughout the 20th century. Flynn's research suggests that these increases are not solely attributable to genetic factors but are largely driven by environmental and cultural shifts. Twist then examines a compelling natural experiment conducted by Russian psychologist Alexander Luria during the rapid modernization of the Soviet Union in the 1930s. Luria studied the cognitive abilities of remote villagers as they transitioned from isolated, pre-modern lifestyles to more interconnected and complex societal structures. He found that the villagers' cognitive skills, particularly their capacity for abstract reasoning and problem-solving, increased significantly as they were exposed to modern concepts and engaged in more intellectually demanding tasks. The historical example of how societal changes can dramatically impact human cognition. In the 1930s, as the Soviet Union underwent rapid modernization, a brilliant young Russian psychologist named Alexander Luria embarked on a unique natural experiment. He ventured into the remote villages of Uzbekistan and Kyrgyzstan, seeking to understand how the shift from a traditional, isolated way of life to a more interconnected and industrialized society might alter the minds of its citizens. These villages were undergoing a dramatic transformation. The Soviet government had collectivized agriculture, replacing small family farms with large, centrally managed collectives. This shift demanded new ways of thinking and working. Farmers had to collaborate, strategize, and plan for production on a larger scale. Simultaneously, a network of schools sprang up in regions that had previously experienced 100% illiteracy. Adults began learning to read and write, connecting sounds to symbols, a system entirely new to them. Numbers, once used only for practical transactions, were introduced as abstract concepts. The traditional fabric of village life was being interwoven with the threads of modernity. Luria saw this societal upheaval as an unparalleled opportunity to explore the plasticity of the human mind. He wondered, could the changing nature of work and the introduction of formal education reshape the cognitive processes of these villagers? Luria employed a range of cognitive tasks to assess their thinking. He showed them skeins of wool in various colors and asked them to describe and group them. He challenged them with logic puzzles, requiring them to deduce solutions. And he posed questions designed to assess their ability to form conceptual groups, similar to the similarities questions found on IQ tests. The results were striking. Luria discovered that the villagers who had remained isolated in their traditional way of life tended to think in very concrete terms, anchored to their immediate experiences. When asked to group objects, they relied on practical associations rather than abstract categories. For example, they insisted that a child must stay with a group of adults because the boy could run errands for them. Similarly, they rejected the grouping of a hammer, saw, hatchet, and log, arguing that tools were meaningless without something to use them on. Their thinking remained tethered to the practicalities of their daily lives. However, those who had engaged in modern work, even with limited schooling, demonstrated a significant shift in their cognitive abilities. They began to grasp abstract concepts and apply logic to unfamiliar situations. They displayed an expanded sense of curiosity, asking questions about the wider world. Even village women who had only taken short courses on teaching kindergartners showed a greater capacity for abstract reasoning than those who remained fully illiterate. Luria's study revealed a compelling link between societal change and human cognition. As the villagers' lives became more complex and interconnected, their minds adapted, demonstrating the remarkable flexibility of human intelligence. This historical example serves as a potent reminder that our cognitive abilities are not fixed but can be profoundly shaped by the environments we inhabit and the experiences we encounter. This historical example highlights how societal changes can profoundly impact human cognition. Twist then explores how technological advancements have further contributed to the rise of wicked environments. The increasing complexity of technology and the sheer volume of available information necessitates a more flexible and adaptable approach to problem solving. Twist argues that specialization, while valuable in specific contexts, can become a liability in these increasingly complex and unpredictable environments. Individuals with narrow expertise may struggle to adapt to new challenges or connect ideas across disciplines. Twist advocates for developing scientific spectacles, a term coined by Flynn to describe the ability to think critically, analyze information objectively, and apply reasoning skills across different domains. Flynn criticizes the current education system for often failing to adequately cultivate these broad thinking skills, emphasizing the need for curricula that prioritize critical thinking and interdisciplinary learning. Twist concludes by emphasizing the need for individuals to embrace diverse experiences and develop a flexible mindset to navigate the challenges of the wicked world. 5 examples of the wicked world. 1. The Flynn effect. The consistent rise in IQ scores across generations demonstrates how societal changes, such as increased access to education and exposure to more complex information, can significantly impact human cognitive abilities. 2. Luria's natural experiment. The cognitive transformation observed in Soviet villagers as they adapted to a modernizing society highlights the plasticity of the human mind and the influence of environmental factors on intellectual development. 3. The rise of abstract thinking. Twist argues that modern society, with its complex systems and abstract concepts, demands a different type of thinking than that required in pre-modern settings. The increasing use of terms like percent, which represent abstract concepts once limited to academic circles, exemplifies this shift. 4. The challenges of hyperspecialization. Twist critiques the limitations of narrow expertise in navigating the wicked world. It uses examples like expert firefighters struggling to adapt their knowledge to unfamiliar situations, such as fires in skyscrapers, to illustrate this point. 5. The need for scientific spectacles. Twist stresses the importance of cultivating broad thinking skills, referred to as scientific spectacles, to navigate the complex and ever-changing nature of the modern world. These skills encompass critical thinking, objective analysis, and the ability to connect ideas across disciplines. Chapter 3. When less of the same is more. The ospedali and the power of diverse training. Twist begins by transporting us to 17th-century Venice, a vibrant hub of musical innovation. Here, music was breaking free from its traditional constraints, pushing boundaries, and captivating audiences. Amidst this creative fervor were the ospedali, for orphanages renowned for their musical excellence. These institutions, often led by renowned composers, trained young girls in music from a young age, immersing them in a world of diverse musical experiences. Unlike the narrow focus of today's music education, the ospedali did not confine their students to a single instrument or genre. The girls learned to play multiple instruments, sing in choirs, and compose their own music. They were exposed to a variety of musical styles, from opera and concertos to sacred music and chamber pieces. This broad-based approach fostered creativity and versatility. Twist contrasts this approach with the modern emphasis on early specialization, often exemplified by figures like Tiger Woods, who began intense, focused golf training at a very young age. This Tiger model, popularized by books like Battle of the Tiger Mother, suggests that the path to success lies in starting early and dedicating oneself to a single pursuit. However, Twist argues that this model is not universally applicable. The importance of sampling and exploration. Instead of urging early specialization, Twist advocates for a sampling period, a time for exploration and experimentation. This period allows individuals to try different activities, discover their interests and talents, and develop a broader range of skills. Twist points to research showing that many elite athletes, contrary to the popular narrative, did not begin specializing in their chosen sport until later in their development. They often participated in a variety of sports during their youth, gaining diverse physical proficiencies and insights into their own abilities before focusing on a single discipline. This emphasis on sampling extends beyond athletics. In the realm of parenting, psychologist Adam Grant suggests that fostering creativity requires a more hands-off approach. He cites a study finding that households with highly creative children tend to have fewer rules and restrictions compared to those with average children. Parents of creative children often allow their children to explore their interests without imposing predetermined limits, creating an environment conducive to experimentation and self-discovery. Embracing inefficiency in learning. Twist also explores the concept of desirable difficulties in learning. It highlights research suggesting that learning is most effective when it is challenging and requires effort. For example, delaying practice sessions, known as spacing, or mixing up practice activities, known as interleaving, can lead to more durable learning, even if it feels less efficient in the short term. These techniques force learners to actively retrieve and apply knowledge, strengthening neural connections and promoting deeper understanding. Conclusion. Twist challenges the prevailing belief in the universal superiority of early specialization. It champions the benefits of breadth, arguing that diverse experiences, experimentation, and a willingness to embrace challenges in learning can lead to greater creativity, adaptability, and ultimately, a more fulfilling path. 5 examples of less of the same is more. 1. The Venetian ospedali. Twist. In the 17th and 18th centuries, Venice was a hub of musical creativity, and the city's 4 ospedali, or orphanages, were renowned for their musical excellence. These institutions, led by famous composers like Antonio Vivaldi, trained young girls in music. Unlike the highly specialized music education of today, the ospedali provided a broad-based musical education. Girls learned to play multiple instruments, sing in choirs, and even compose their own music. They were exposed to diverse musical styles, fostering creativity and versatility. This approach contrasted sharply with the single-instrument focus common in music education today. 2. The Tiger model versus sampling period. Twist. Chapter 3 contrasts the ospedali's approach with the modern emphasis on early specialization, often exemplified by athletes like Tiger Woods, who began intense golf training as a toddler. This Tiger model suggests that early, intense focus on a single pursuit is the key to success. However, Twist argues that this is not a universally applicable model. Instead, it advocates for a sampling period, where individuals explore various activities before focusing on one. This exploration allows them to discover their interests, talents, and develop a wider skill set. 3. Late specialization in elite athletes. Twist. Contrary to the Tiger narrative, research shows that many elite athletes did not specialize in their chosen sport until later in their development. They often participated in a variety of sports during their youth, developing a diverse range of physical skills and gaining a broader understanding of their capabilities before narrowing their focus. This approach, Twist argues, allows them to develop a more well-rounded athletic foundation and potentially avoid burnout associated with early specialization. 4. Fostering creativity with fewer rules. Twist extends its argument beyond the realm of sports, exploring the impact of early specialization on creativity. Psychologist Adam Grant suggests that promoting creativity in children requires a less restrictive approach to parenting. A study found that households with highly creative children tended to have fewer rules compared to those with average children. Parents of these creative children allowed more exploration without preset boundaries, fostering an environment conducive to experimentation and self-discovery. 5. Desirable difficulties in learning. Twist delves into the concept of desirable difficulties in learning, suggesting that learning is most effective when it is challenging and requires effort. Techniques like spaced repetition, where practice sessions are spread out over time, and interleaving, where different practice activities are mixed together, can lead to more durable learning, even though they might feel less efficient in the short term. These methods force learners to actively retrieve and apply knowledge, leading to stronger neural connections and a deeper understanding. Chapter 4, Learning, Fast and Slow. Twist explores the counterintuitive idea that the most effective learning strategies often look inefficient in the short term. It challenges the common desire for quick progress and instead emphasizes the importance of struggle, delayed gratification, and making connections for building durable and flexible knowledge. The allure of kind learning environments. Twist starts by contrasting two types of learning environments, kind and wicked. Kind environments, like practicing golf, offer clear feedback, consistent rules, and opportunities for repetitive practice, leading to rapid improvement. However, the real world often presents wicked learning environments where the rules are unclear or incomplete, feedback is delayed or inaccurate, and patterns are difficult to discern. The pitfalls of shortcuts. Twist uses the example of an 8th grade math class to highlight how common teaching practices can inadvertently prioritize short-term performance over long-term learning. While well-intentioned, these practices can actually hinder students' ability to develop deep, transferable knowledge. The teacher's use of multiple-choice questions and hint-giving, for instance, encourages students to focus on finding procedures to solve problems rather than grappling with the underlying concepts. This using procedures approach can lead to superficial understanding and difficulty applying knowledge in new contexts. In contrast, making connections questions require students to think more deeply and develop a richer understanding of the material. Desirable difficulties enhance learning. Twist introduces the concept of desirable difficulties as key strategies for enhancing learning. These difficulties, while making learning more challenging in the short term, ultimately lead to more durable and flexible knowledge. Several specific desirable difficulties are explored in Twist, including 1. The generation effect. Struggling to come up with an answer, even if it is wrong, leads to better retention of the correct answer when it is eventually revealed. 2. Spacing. Distributing practice sessions over time, rather than cramming, significantly improves long-term retention. 3. Interleaving. Mixing up different types of practice problems, as opposed to practicing one type at a time, forces learners to develop a more nuanced understanding and enhances their ability to apply knowledge in novel situations. Twist emphasizes that these desirable difficulties often feel counterintuitive because they lead to slower initial progress and can make learners feel less confident in their abilities. However, Twist underscores that this struggle is actually a sign of deep learning taking place. The misleading nature of immediate performance. Twist uses several examples to demonstrate that our intuitive judgments about learning are often inaccurate. For example, a study at the U.S. Air Force Academy found that students who received more challenging instruction in Calculus I, while performing worse in that specific class, ultimately did better in subsequent math courses. However, those same instructors received lower student evaluations because students based their assessments on their immediate performance rather than their long-term learning. The power of broad experience. Echoing the themes from Chapter 3, Twist reinforces the value of broad experience and delayed specialization, even in fields traditionally associated with early focused training like music. Twist cites examples of successful individuals, including musicians, who did not begin formal training until later in life, demonstrating that a nonlinear path can lead to exceptional achievement. Conclusion. twist provides a compelling argument for rethinking our approach to learning. It urges us to embrace struggle and delayed gratification, to prioritize making connections over rote memorization, and to value broad experience as a foundation for deep expertise. The key takeaway is that the path to mastery is not always linear and that embracing desirable difficulties can unlock our true learning potential. 5 examples of learning, fast and slow. 1. The 8th grade math class. Imagine a bright, engaging teacher leading an 8th grade math class focused on algebraic expressions. The teacher strives to make the concepts relatable, framing problems around real-world scenarios like buying hot dogs at an Eagles game. The students seem engaged, asking questions and readily providing answers. However, a closer look reveals that they are not genuinely understanding the concepts. They are instead playing a multiple-choice game with the teacher, cleverly extracting hints to arrive at the correct answers without grasping the underlying principles. This approach, while leading to immediate success on worksheets, fails to build the deep understanding necessary for applying the knowledge in new situations. This classroom exemplifies how well-intentioned teaching practices can prioritize quick progress over durable learning. 2. Oberon and Macduff's learning journey. Meet Oberon and Macduff, 2 rhesus monkeys tasked with learning lists of random pictures in a specific order. Researchers designed 2 different learning conditions for the monkeys, one with helpful hints throughout the training and one without any hints. As you might expect, the monkeys who received hints during training excelled initially, demonstrating rapid progress. However, when the hints were removed, their performance plummeted. In stark contrast, the monkeys who had to struggle without hints during training, while initially performing poorly, showed significant improvement over time and ultimately outperformed their hint-receiving counterparts on a final test. This experiment vividly demonstrates the generation effect, showing that struggling to retrieve information, even when unsuccessful, primes the brain for future learning. 3. The Air Force Academy Calculus Experiment. Picture a group of bright-eyed cadets at the prestigious Air Force Academy, embarking on their Calculus I journey. The cadets are randomly assigned to different instructors, some known for their rigorous teaching methods and others favored for their more lenient, student-friendly approaches. As the semester unfolds, the cadets in the more challenging classes struggle more and express frustration with their demanding instructors. However, a surprising pattern emerges when their performance in subsequent math courses is analyzed. The cadets who endured the initial struggle in Calculus I, despite performing worse in that specific class, ultimately excelled in later math courses. This real-world experiment highlights a crucial point: our intuitive judgments about learning, often based on immediate performance, can be misleading. The instructors who facilitated deeper learning, even at the cost of short-term struggle, ultimately prepared their students for greater success in the long run. 4. The Carter Racing Case Study. Step into a bustling Harvard Business School classroom, where a group of ambitious second-year students are engrossed in a heated debate. The students are grappling with the famous Carter Racing Case Study, a scenario that presents them with a high-stakes decision. Should a race car team, facing a history of engine failures, risk competing in the biggest race of the season? The students pore over the provided data, meticulously constructing probability estimates and decision trees, but a crucial piece of information is missing. The case study intentionally omits data points representing races where the engine did not fail. None of the students think to ask for this missing data, instead relying solely on the information presented to them. As a result, the vast majority of student groups, mirroring the real-life decision-makers in the Challenger space shuttle disaster, choose to race, failing to recognize the potential danger hidden in the incomplete data. This case study provides a powerful lesson in the dangers of relying solely on readily available information and the importance of actively seeking out a broader perspective. 5. The Incongruence Experiment. Imagine a group of human resources managers tasked with predicting the job performance of potential candidates. They are given a standardized evaluation process, with specific weights assigned to different skills. The managers believe their evaluations will be judged against this standard process, leading them to conform to it, even when the results clearly demonstrate its shortcomings. This pattern of clinging to familiar tools, even when ineffective, reflects a common human tendency to resist change, particularly in the absence of external pressure. However, when researchers introduce a fabricated Harvard Business Review article praising the importance of independent thinking and dissent, the manager's behavior changes dramatically. They become more open to challenging the standard evaluation process, begin experimenting with alternative approaches, and ultimately make more accurate predictions. This experiment demonstrates how introducing incongruence, challenging existing beliefs and forcing individuals to confront inconsistencies, can break down rigid thinking and promote learning and adaptability. Chapter 5: Thinking Outside Experience. Kepler's Analogical Genius. Twist begins with the story of Johannes Kepler, the 17th century astronomer who revolutionized our understanding of planetary motion. Kepler's groundbreaking work was not solely the product of rigorous observation and calculation. He relied heavily on analogical thinking, constantly seeking conceptual similarities between seemingly disparate phenomena to generate new hypotheses and challenge existing assumptions. For instance, when faced with the then radical concept of action at a distance in celestial mechanics, Kepler drew analogies from familiar concepts like odor, heat, and light to explore the possibility of invisible forces traversing space. This approach, the sources explain, is an extension of the kind of abstract thinking that was absent in pre-modern societies. While pre-modern villagers relied heavily on their direct experience to solve problems, modern thinkers like Kepler have the capacity to draw connections across diverse domains, enabling them to tackle more complex challenges. The inside view versus the outside view. Twist introduces the contrasting concepts of the inside view and the outside view in decision-making. The inside view involves focusing narrowly on the specific details of a problem at hand, often leading to overly optimistic predictions and an inability to learn from past experiences. The outside view, on the other hand, encourages us to seek out analogies from distant domains that share deep structural similarities with the problem we are facing. This approach forces us to step outside of our narrow expertise and consider a broader range of possibilities. Examples of the outside view in action. Twist presents several compelling examples of the outside view in action. 1. Venture capitalists. In an experiment, investors from private equity firms were asked to predict the return on investment for a project they were currently working on. They were then instructed to list other investment projects with broad conceptual similarities and estimate their returns. Initially, the investors predicted significantly higher returns for their own projects, where they knew all the internal details. However, once forced to consider outside analogies, they drastically revised their estimates downward, acknowledging the potential pitfalls they had initially overlooked. 2. Movie enthusiasts. Researchers found that predicting the box office revenue of a new movie was more accurate when using a reference class of analogies, a group of past movies with structural similarities, than when relying on intuition based on a single seemingly similar film. 3. Business students. Students tasked with generating strategies for a struggling computer mouse company came up with more creative solutions when prompted with analogies from distant domains, such as the historical merger of England and the Norman Kingdom or Sherlock Holmes's observational strategies. These examples highlight the power of the outside view in overcoming the biases and limitations of the inside view, leading to more accurate predictions, more innovative solutions, and ultimately, more effective learning. Fostering analogical thinking. Twist emphasizes that anyone can cultivate the habit of analogical thinking. The key is to actively seek out connections between seemingly unrelated domains and to view our own ideas as hypotheses to be tested rather than firmly held beliefs. The sources suggest that simple strategies like brainstorming a list of analogies before making a decision or exploring historical examples of similar problems can help us develop this valuable skill. The importance of curiosity. Twist also underscores the importance of curiosity in fostering analogical thinking. Individuals with high science curiosity, the sources explain, are more likely to seek out new evidence, even when it contradicts their existing beliefs. This open-minded approach allows them to constantly refine their understanding and make more accurate predictions, even in complex and unpredictable environments. Conclusion. Twist offers a powerful argument for the value of analogical thinking in a world that increasingly demands both specialization and the ability to navigate complexity. Twist emphasizes that embracing diverse experiences, cultivating curiosity, and actively seeking out connections between seemingly disparate domains can unlock our creative potential and help us make more informed decisions. By learning to think outside experience, we can become more adaptable learners and more effective problem solvers in a rapidly changing world. 5 examples of thinking outside experience. 1. Kepler in The Mystery of Planetary Motion. Imagine the year 1600. The prevailing belief is that celestial bodies move around a stationary Earth, propelled by individual spirits or planetary souls. Enter Johannes Kepler, a brilliant astronomer grappling with the revolutionary idea proposed by Nicholas Copernicus, that planets actually orbit the Sun. To investigate this unorthodox concept, Kepler turned to analogical thinking, seeking conceptual similarities in seemingly unrelated phenomena. He pondered the nature of odor, heat, and light, exploring the possibility of invisible forces traversing space. He then extended his analogies further, considering magnets and even boats, to understand how a celestial body like Mars could maintain a consistent orbit around the Sun. Kepler's reliance on analogies, the sources explain, allowed him to break free from the constraints of prevailing scientific dogma and pave the way for a new understanding of the universe. 2. The venture capitalist's reality check. Imagine a group of seasoned venture capitalists, each with a deep understanding of their respective investment domains. They are tasked with predicting the return on investment for a project they are currently evaluating. Confident in their expertise and armed with detailed information about the project, they confidently project impressive returns. However, the researchers introduce a twist. The investors are now asked to list other investment projects with broad conceptual similarities, even those from completely different industries, and estimate their returns as well. This exercise forces the investors to shift from an inside view, focused solely on the specifics of their current project, to an outside view, considering a broader range of possibilities. As they contemplate past ventures with similar underlying structures, their initial optimism wanes. They begin to recognize potential pitfalls they had previously overlooked, leading them to revise their initial projections significantly downward. 3. Moviegoers as box office forecasters. Imagine a group of movie enthusiasts gathered to predict the box office success of upcoming releases. They are presented with basic film information, lead actor names, promotional posters, and a synopsis for each movie. They are then asked to score how well a list of 40 older movies serves as an analogy to each new release. Using these analogy scores, researchers develop a model to predict the eventual revenue of the upcoming films. Surprisingly, this model, based solely on moviegoer analogies, outperforms a sophisticated mathematical model that incorporates detailed information about genre, budget, star actors, and release dates. This unexpected result highlights the power of analogical thinking in navigating complex and uncertain domains. The wisdom of the crowd, guided by diverse analogies, proves more accurate than a model relying on traditional industry metrics. 4. Unlocking creativity in business strategy. Imagine a group of business students brainstorming strategies to revitalize a fictitious company struggling in the competitive computer mouse market. Some students are given no analogies to guide their thinking, while others are provided with one or more examples from seemingly unrelated domains. For instance, some students are encouraged to consider the historical merger of England and the Norman Kingdom or Sherlock Holmes's observational strategies as potential sources of inspiration. As the students generate ideas, a clear pattern emerges. Those prompted with analogies from distant domains come up with more creative and diverse strategies. The more distant the analogy, the more effective it seems to be in sparking novel solutions. 5. Challenging conformity in human resources. Imagine a group of human resources managers tasked with evaluating job applicants. They are given a standardized evaluation process with predetermined weights assigned to specific skills. The managers quickly fall into a pattern of conforming to this standard procedure, even when the outcomes demonstrate its shortcomings. They cling to their familiar tools, hesitant to deviate from the established norms. However, the researchers introduce a clever manipulation. They present the managers with a fabricated Harvard Business Review article extolling the virtues of independent thinking and dissent in successful organizations. This subtle shift in the perceived cultural norms liberates the managers from their conformity. They become more willing to question the standard evaluation process, experiment with alternative approaches, and challenge their initial assumptions. This newfound flexibility leads to more accurate predictions of candidate performance, highlighting the power of incongruence, challenging existing beliefs and forcing individuals to confront inconsistencies, in promoting learning and adaptability. Chapter 6: The Trouble with Too Much Grit. The Downside of Blind Persistence. The sources highlight the potential downsides of blindly clinging to goals or projects that are no longer a good fit. 1. Match quality. The sources introduce the concept of match quality, arguing that individuals thrive when their skills, interests, and values align with their chosen pursuits. Blind persistence can prevent individuals from recognizing better matches and lead to wasted time and effort pursuing paths that are not ultimately fulfilling. 2. Sunk cost fallacy. Twist discusses the sunk cost fallacy, a cognitive bias that makes us reluctant to abandon investments, time, money, effort, even when it is clear that they are not yielding the desired results. This fallacy can trap individuals in dead-end pursuits, preventing them from exploring more promising opportunities. 3. The importance of experimentation. The sources argue that personal growth and development often involve a process of experimentation, testing different paths and refining our understanding of our own strengths and interests. Blind persistence can hinder this process, preventing individuals from exploring diverse experiences and discovering hidden talents. Case studies: Van Gogh and West Point graduates. Twist presents compelling case studies to illustrate the importance of knowing when to quit. 1. Vincent van Gogh. The sources describe Van Gogh's early career as a series of passionate but ultimately unsuccessful pursuits. He jumped from one job to another, trying his hand at art dealing, teaching, and ministry, before finally finding his true calling as an artist. Van Gogh's willingness to abandon paths that were not a good fit, even after investing significant time and effort, ultimately allowed him to discover his unique artistic talent. 2. West Point graduates. The sources note that a significant number of graduates from the prestigious United States Military Academy at West Point choose to leave the Army after completing their service obligation. While this might seem like a failure of grit, Twist suggests that these individuals are often simply recognizing that their skills and interests are better suited to different careers. Their decision to leave the military reflects a commitment to finding a better match rather than a lack of perseverance. Rethinking grit, short-term planning and strategic quitting. Twist proposes alternative strategies to traditional notions of grit. 1. Short-term planning. The sources argue that short-term planning can be a more effective strategy than long-term goal setting, particularly in complex and unpredictable environments. By focusing on the immediate options and opportunities, individuals can remain flexible and adaptable, adjusting their course as needed based on new information and changing circumstances. 2. Strategic quitting. Twist advocates for strategic quitting, the ability to recognize when persistence is no longer serving us and to make informed decisions about when to abandon a goal or project in favor of a better match. This approach requires courage, self-awareness, and a willingness to embrace uncertainty. The value of range. Ultimately, Twist argues that range, the breadth of our experiences and the diversity of our skills, can be a greater asset than unwavering persistence in a complex and rapidly changing world. By embracing experimentation, learning to recognize when to quit, and remaining open to new possibilities, we can navigate the inevitable challenges and uncertainties of life with greater resilience and adaptability. 5 examples of when too much grit can be detrimental. 1. Van Gogh's winding path to artistic brilliance. Imagine a young Vincent van Gogh, filled with passion and a desire to make a meaningful contribution to the world. He throws himself into one pursuit after another, art dealing, teaching, and even ministry, but each attempt ends in disappointment. Frustrated and discouraged, he clings to the belief that sheer effort and determination will eventually lead to success. However, it is only when he finally abandons these ill-suited paths, as the sources explain, that he discovers his true calling as an artist. Van Gogh's willingness to quit endeavors that were not a good fit, even after significant investment, ultimately unlocks his unique creative potential and allows him to leave an indelible mark on the world. 2. West Point graduates embracing new horizons. Picture a cohort of bright-eyed graduates from West Point, the prestigious United States military academy. They have endured rigorous training, demonstrating exceptional grit and determination. Yet, a significant number of these graduates choose to leave the Army after fulfilling their service obligation. This decision might seem like a lack of commitment or a failure of grit. However, the sources suggest a different interpretation. These individuals are often simply recognizing that their skills and interests are better aligned with different career paths. Their departure from the military is not a sign of weakness but rather a strategic decision to find a better match for their talents and aspirations. 3. The National Spelling Bee. When grit isn't enough, envision the intense pressure of the Scripps National Spelling Bee, where young contestants dedicate countless hours to mastering the intricacies of the English language. While grit undoubtedly plays a role in their success, the sources reveal that it is not the sole determinant of how far a speller will advance in the competition. Angela Duckworth's research demonstrates that verbal IQ scores are equally important. Spellers with lower verbal IQ scores can compensate to some extent with greater grit, but those with exceptional verbal abilities often outperform their grittier counterparts. This example illustrates that relying solely on grit can be limiting. Sometimes, natural aptitude combined with strategic effort leads to greater success than sheer persistence alone. 4. Teacher turnover, a catalyst for improved match quality. Imagine a dedicated teacher struggling to make a difference in a school environment that is not a good fit for their teaching style or expertise. They pour their heart and soul into their work, determined to persevere despite the challenges. However, research by labor economist Karabo Jackson suggests that teacher turnover can actually be beneficial for both teachers and students. He found that teachers tend to leave schools where they are poorly matched and that they become more effective at improving student performance after switching to a new school. This example demonstrates that sometimes strategic quitting can lead to better outcomes for everyone involved, allowing individuals to find environments where their talents can flourish. 5. The multi-armed bandit, a model for career exploration. Imagine a gambler facing a row of slot machines, each with a different probability of reward. Their challenge is to figure out the best way to allocate their lever pulls to maximize their winnings. This scenario, known as the multi-armed bandit process, provides a useful analogy for career exploration. Economist Robert A. Miller uses this model to illustrate the importance of experimentation and information gathering in finding the right career match. Just as the gambler needs to test different machines to determine which offers the best odds, individuals need to explore various career paths to discover their optimal fit. This process often involves short-term planning, trying different options and adjusting course based on the feedback received. Blindly clinging to a single path, even with unwavering grit, can prevent individuals from discovering their true potential and achieving greater fulfillment. Chapter 7. Flirting with your possible selves. Flirting with your possible selves, embracing short-term planning and experimentation for long-term growth. Twist continues the exploration of the limitations of the grit narrative, arguing that long-term planning can be a counterproductive approach to career development, particularly in a world characterized by rapid change and uncertainty. Instead, Twist advocates for a more flexible and experimental approach, urging individuals to embrace short-term planning and to flirt with their possible selves through a series of temporary explorations. Twist uses the life of Frances Hesselbein, a renowned leader in the nonprofit sector, as a compelling case study to illustrate the power of this approach. Hesselbein never actively pursued any of her 4 CEO positions, each of which came about through unexpected opportunities and a willingness to try something new. Her career trajectory, marked by serendipitous encounters and a series of short-term commitments, highlights the value of remaining open to possibilities and adapting to changing circumstances. Twist then delves into the psychological research on personal change, challenging the common misconception that our values, preferences, and even personality traits are fixed and immutable. Studies show that individuals consistently underestimate the degree to which they will change over time, clinging to a static self-image that can limit their potential for growth and transformation. One striking example of this phenomenon comes from a study by Daniel Gilbert and colleagues, who found that people were willing to pay significantly more for a concert ticket to see their current favorite band 10 years in the future than they were to see their favorite band from 10 years ago today. This finding highlights the illusory nature of our perceived stability, demonstrating that the person we are now is not necessarily the person we will be in the future. Twist argues that our tendency to underestimate our capacity for change can lead us to make premature commitments to long-term goals that may no longer be aligned with our evolving selves. This can result in feelings of unfulfillment and a sense of being trapped in a career that no longer resonates with our values or aspirations. Drawing on the work of Herminia Ibarra, an organizational behavior professor who studies career transitions, Twist proposes an alternative approach: first act and then think. Ibarra argues that we learn who we are not through introspection but through action, by experimenting with different activities, building new networks, and seeking out diverse role models. This experimental approach involves a series of short-term explorations, each of which provides valuable information about our strengths, weaknesses, and evolving interests. Rather than clinging to a fixed plan, we iteratively refine our self-understanding through a process of trial and error, gradually converging on a career path that is both fulfilling and sustainable. Twist concludes by offering practical advice for implementing this test-and-learn approach, encouraging individuals to view themselves as scientists of themselves, constantly experimenting and gathering data to optimize their career choices. By embracing short-term planning, seeking out diverse experiences, and reflecting on the lessons learned, we can navigate the inevitable uncertainties of life with greater resilience, adaptability, and ultimately, a deeper sense of purpose and fulfillment. Twist connects with the previous discussion on the limitations of grit by emphasizing the importance of flexibility and adaptability in a complex and ever-changing world. While persistence is undoubtedly valuable, it can become a liability when it prevents us from recognizing better opportunities or adapting to new circumstances. Twist encourages a more nuanced approach to career development, one that balances perseverance with a willingness to experiment, change direction, and flirt with the multitude of possibilities that life has to offer. Chapter 8: The Outsider Advantage. Twist explores how individuals with diverse experiences and perspectives can often solve problems that stump specialists. Twist highlights the limitations of relying solely on domain experts, particularly in complex and dynamic situations. Outsiders bring fresh perspectives and unconventional approaches, unburdened by the assumptions and biases that can limit those deeply entrenched in a particular field. This advantage can be especially pronounced in areas where traditional methods have failed to produce satisfactory results. Twist provides numerous examples to illustrate this phenomenon, showcasing the unexpected contributions of outsiders across various domains. One striking example involves Nicholas Appert, a confectioner who, in the late 18th century, successfully developed a method for food preservation that had eluded leading scientists for over a century. Appert's lack of formal scientific training allowed him to approach the problem with a fresh perspective, ultimately leading to a breakthrough that revolutionized food storage and public health. Twist also discusses Innocentive, a platform that connects organizations facing challenging technical problems with a global network of problem solvers from diverse backgrounds. Research on Innocentive has consistently shown that solvers with less domain expertise are more likely to find successful solutions. This counterintuitive finding underscores the value of cognitive diversity and the limitations of relying solely on specialists. Alf Bingham, founder of Innocentive, describes this approach as outside-in thinking, finding solutions by drawing on experiences and knowledge from outside the traditional boundaries of the problem. This concept is further illustrated by the success of Kaggle, a platform that hosts machine learning competitions for data scientists. Experts in machine learning are often surprised to find that the winners of Kaggle competitions in specialized fields like healthcare often have no formal training in those domains. Twist also discusses the work of Don Swanson, an information scientist who pioneered the use of computers to identify hidden connections between seemingly disparate areas of scientific research. Swanson's work highlights the potential for interdisciplinary insights to drive innovation, especially as the volume of scientific knowledge continues to expand exponentially. Twist concludes by emphasizing that outsiders can provide a valuable source of innovation, even in highly specialized fields. Their unique perspectives and unconventional approaches can challenge existing assumptions, leading to breakthroughs that would have been impossible for those confined to the traditional trenches of their respective disciplines. Twist builds on the previous discussions of the limitations of early specialization and the benefits of range by demonstrating how breadth of experience can lead to unexpected advantages in problem-solving and innovation. In a world where knowledge is becoming increasingly fragmented and specialized, the ability to connect disparate ideas and perspectives is becoming increasingly valuable. 5 narrative examples. 1. A confectioner outshines scientists, the sweet success of Nicolas Appert. Imagine France in the late 18th century, where Napoleon's armies are hampered by the inability to preserve food for extended periods. A prize is offered to anyone who can solve this logistical nightmare, attracting the attention of some of the most brilliant scientific minds of the time. Enter Nicolas Appert, not a scientist, but a confectioner and foodie with a keen interest in preserving the flavors of his creations. Unconstrained by the prevailing scientific theories, Appert experiments tirelessly, eventually discovering that heating food in sealed glass jars prevents spoilage. His method, simple yet revolutionary, earns him the prize and transforms the way food is stored and transported, ultimately contributing to improved public health and military logistics. This story highlights how an outsider, unburdened by the constraints of established knowledge, can achieve breakthroughs that elude those deeply entrenched in a specific field. 2. Beyond the lab, Eli Lilly embraces outside-in thinking for chemical solutions. Picture Alf Bingham, a chemist with a PhD in organic chemistry and a knack for finding innovative solutions. He becomes intrigued by the observation that the most elegant and effective solutions to complex chemical problems often arise from knowledge outside the traditional curriculum. Years later, as VP of Research and Development at Eli Lilly, Bingham implements a program called Innocentive, inviting anyone with a creative mind, regardless of their background, to tackle the company's toughest chemical challenges. To the surprise of many, outsiders with diverse expertise, ranging from baking to materials science, consistently outperform the company's own specialized chemists. This example demonstrates the power of outside-in thinking, leveraging knowledge from unexpected sources to unlock solutions that elude those confined within a specific domain. 3. Crowdsourcing innovation, Innocentive and the triumph of cognitive diversity. Imagine a platform where organizations grappling with intractable technical problems can seek solutions from a global network of problem solvers. That's Innocentive, and its results have consistently shown that individuals with less domain expertise are often more successful at finding innovative solutions. This counterintuitive outcome stems from the diversity of thought that outsiders bring to the table. Unburdened by the assumptions and biases that limit specialists, they are more likely to explore unconventional approaches and connect seemingly disparate ideas, leading to breakthroughs that would have been impossible for those working solely within the confines of their respective disciplines. 4. From healthcare to Higgs boson, Kaggle competitions showcase the power of the crowd. Picture a platform where data scientists compete to develop the most effective algorithms for a wide range of challenges, from predicting hospital readmissions to identifying subatomic particles. That's Kaggle, and its results have consistently demonstrated the power of the crowd to outperform experts. In numerous Kaggle competitions focused on specialized domains like healthcare and particle physics, the winners often have no formal training or experience in those fields. Their success highlights the ability of individuals with strong analytical skills and diverse backgrounds to rapidly acquire the necessary knowledge and apply it in innovative ways, challenging the notion that deep domain expertise is always essential for problem solving. 5. Jill Viles, a patient unraveling the mysteries of muscular dystrophy. Imagine a young woman named Jill Viles, diagnosed with muscular dystrophy and facing a future of progressive muscle weakness. Despite the limitations imposed by her condition, Viles becomes fascinated by genetics and embarks on a quest to understand the mutation responsible for her disease. Through relentless research and a keen eye for patterns, she discovers a surprising connection between her mutation and that of an Olympic sprinter. Her findings, initially dismissed by medical professionals, eventually lead to a deeper understanding of the genetic basis of muscular dystrophy, highlighting the power of patient-driven research and the ability of individuals outside the traditional scientific establishment to make significant contributions to medical knowledge. Chapter 9: Lateral Thinking with Withered Technology. Twist focuses on lateral thinking with withered technology, an approach championed by Gunpei Yokoi, a key figure in Nintendo's rise to video game dominance. Twist argues that innovation doesn't always require chasing the newest technology. It highlights the potential for finding novel and commercially successful uses for technology that is older, well understood, and readily available. Yokoi, with his self-proclaimed limited engineering skills, believed that staying on the cutting edge was not always the best strategy. He saw that larger companies could easily outspend and out-innovate him in the realm of new technology. Instead, he focused on lateral thinking, reimagining the use of existing technologies in unconventional ways. This involved connecting seemingly disparate concepts and applying familiar technologies in unexpected contexts, often leading to the creation of unique and successful products. The Game Boy, Nintendo's revolutionary handheld console, embodies Yokoi's philosophy. While competitors focused on creating technically superior devices with color screens, Yokoi intentionally chose to use a monochrome display. He understood that the existing technology allowed for longer battery life and lower production costs, making the Game Boy more accessible to a wider audience. This strategic decision, prioritizing practicality over flashy features, proved to be a stroke of genius, as the Game Boy went on to become one of the most successful gaming devices of all time. Yokoi's approach extended beyond the Game Boy. He applied this lateral thinking with withered technology to a variety of products, including the creation of affordable, single-channel remote control cars that could only turn left. These Lefty RX toys, while seemingly limited, offered a unique and fun experience at a fraction of the cost of traditional RC cars. Twist highlights the importance of overcoming functional fixedness, the tendency to only consider familiar uses for objects. Yokoi encouraged his team at Nintendo to constantly brainstorm alternative applications for existing technologies, even those that seemed outdated or limited. This culture of creativity and open-mindedness allowed Nintendo to thrive in a competitive industry. The success of Yokoi's approach is further supported by research conducted by Andy Outerkirk at 3M. Outerkirk studied the impact of different types of inventors, finding that polymaths, individuals with deep expertise in one area and broad experience across many others, were the most likely to generate successful innovations. These individuals, like Yokoi, were able to leverage their diverse knowledge to make connections and apply existing technologies in novel and valuable ways. Twist ultimately makes a compelling case for embracing the potential of withered technology. It encourages us to challenge our assumptions about innovation and recognize that creative solutions can often be found by looking beyond the cutting edge and reimagining the possibilities of existing technologies. By embracing Yokoi's philosophy of lateral thinking and overcoming functional fixedness, individuals and organizations can unlock a wealth of untapped potential and achieve remarkable success. 5 examples from Nintendo and beyond. 1. The Game Boy, a monochrome triumph. In the late 1980s, handheld video game consoles were emerging as a popular form of entertainment. Competitors, eager to showcase technological prowess, focused on developing devices with color screens. Gunpei Yokoi, however, chose a different path for Nintendo's Game Boy. He recognized that using a monochrome display, considered withered technology at the time, would offer significant advantages, longer battery life and lower production costs. This strategic decision made the Game Boy more affordable and practical, appealing to a wider audience. As history reveals, Yokoi's choice was a masterstroke. The Game Boy, despite its lack of color, became a global phenomenon, selling over 118 million units and solidifying Nintendo's dominance in the handheld gaming market. 2. The Lefty RX, embracing simplicity in remote control cars. Yokoi's philosophy extended beyond the Game Boy. he believed that innovation could stem from embracing limitations rather than always seeking the most advanced technology. This belief led to the creation of the Lefty RX, a line of remote control cars intentionally designed with a single-channel control system, allowing them to only turn left. While this might seem like a drawback, Yokoi saw it as an opportunity to offer a unique and engaging experience at a fraction of the cost of traditional RC cars. The Lefty RX became a success, demonstrating that creativity can flourish within constraints. 3. From starch to scientific breakthroughs, unconventional inspiration for innovation. Twist highlights how seemingly unrelated experiences can spark innovation. Oliver Smithies, a Nobel laureate in medicine, attributes a significant discovery to a childhood memory of his mother using starched shirts as a makeshift electrophoresis gel. This seemingly trivial memory, combined with his scientific knowledge, led to a groundbreaking technique for separating and analyzing biological molecules. Similarly, Edwin Southern, another scientist, drew inspiration from an old document copying device called a cyclostyling machine to develop the Southern blot, a widely used method for detecting specific DNA sequences. These examples illustrate how drawing on experiences outside of one's immediate field can lead to unexpected connections and fuel creative problem-solving. 4. The unusual uses task, challenging functional fixedness. Twist discusses a psychological exercise known as the unusual, or alternative, uses task, which challenges individuals to think beyond the typical uses for everyday objects. For example, when presented with the word brick, people tend to initially list common uses like building walls or as doorstops. To achieve a higher score, one must generate more creative and less obvious uses, such as a paperweight, a nutcracker, or even a theatrical coffin for a doll's funeral. This exercise highlights the concept of functional fixedness, our tendency to limit our thinking about objects based on their conventional roles. Yokoi recognized the importance of overcoming functional fixedness and encouraged his team at Nintendo to constantly explore alternative applications for existing technologies, regardless of how outdated they might seem. 5. Andy Outerkirk and the Power of Polymaths. Twist also features the work of Andy Outerkirk, a researcher at 3M who studied the characteristics of successful inventors. Outerkirk discovered that polymaths, individuals with both deep expertise in one area and broad experience across many others, were the most likely to generate impactful innovations. These individuals, much like Gunpei Yokoi, could leverage their diverse knowledge to connect seemingly disparate concepts and apply existing technologies in novel and valuable ways. Outerkirk's findings underscore the importance of cultivating a broad range of interests and experiences to foster creativity and innovation. Chapter 10, Fooled by Expertise. Twist challenges the common assumption that specialists with extensive knowledge in a particular field are always the best equipped to make accurate predictions and solve complex problems. Twist presents compelling evidence that in certain contexts, narrow expertise can actually hinder performance, particularly when dealing with situations characterized by uncertainty and unpredictability, also known as wicked environments. Twist begins by examining the famous bet between biologist Paul Ehrlich, who predicted a catastrophic population explosion leading to resource depletion, and economist Julian Simon, who argued that human ingenuity would overcome these challenges. Ehrlich, relying on his expertise in population dynamics, failed to consider factors outside his narrow field, while Simon's broader perspective allowed him to foresee the potential for innovation and adaptation. This example highlights the limitations of relying solely on specialized knowledge when dealing with complex, multifaceted issues. Twist then introduces the groundbreaking research of psychologist Philip Tetlock, who spent 2 decades studying the accuracy of expert predictions in fields like economics and politics. Tetlock's findings revealed a surprising truth: experts, despite their credentials and experience, were often no better than chance at forecasting future events. He observed that highly specialized experts, whom he dubbed hedgehogs, tended to cling to their narrow theories and struggled to adapt their thinking when confronted with contradictory evidence. In contrast, Tetlock identified a group of experts he called foxes, who demonstrated a greater capacity for integrating information from multiple sources and adjusting their beliefs based on new evidence. These foxes performed significantly better in predicting future outcomes, demonstrating the value of a broad perspective and intellectual flexibility. Tetlock's work extended beyond simply identifying the differences between hedgehogs and foxes. He collaborated with Barbara Mellers to develop training programs designed to improve forecasting accuracy. Their research revealed that even a brief training session focusing on fostering active open-mindedness, considering alternative perspectives, and embracing analogical thinking could significantly enhance prediction accuracy. Twist further explores how our tendency to overvalue expertise can lead to flawed decision-making in various contexts. It examines the Challenger disaster, highlighting how NASA managers, despite warnings from engineers about potential risks associated with low temperatures, relied on their experience and past successes to justify launching the space shuttle, ultimately leading to a tragic outcome. The Challenger case serves as a stark reminder that experience, even when extensive, can blind us to potential risks and limit our ability to adapt to new information. Twist concludes by emphasizing the importance of recognizing the limitations of expertise, particularly in unpredictable environments. It encourages us to cultivate intellectual humility, actively seek out diverse perspectives, and challenge our assumptions, even when they are supported by seemingly authoritative experts. By embracing a broader, more flexible approach to learning and problem-solving, we can avoid the pitfalls of narrow expertise and navigate the complexities of our increasingly interconnected world. 5 examples of how expertise can mislead. 1. The population bomb that fizzled, Ehrlich versus Simon. In 1968, Stanford biologist Paul Ehrlich published The Population Bomb, a book predicting imminent global catastrophe due to overpopulation. Ehrlich, a respected expert in his field, argued that resource depletion and environmental degradation were inevitable consequences of unchecked population growth. Economist Julian Simon, however, challenged this dire forecast, arguing that human ingenuity and innovation would ultimately solve these problems. To put their beliefs to the test, Simon and Ehrlich made a famous bet on the future prices of 5 metals. Over the next decade, the prices of these metals fell, proving Simon correct. Ehrlich, blinded by his narrow focus on population dynamics, failed to account for factors outside his area of expertise, such as technological advancements and market forces, leading to his inaccurate prediction. This example highlights the danger of relying solely on specialized knowledge when tackling complex, multifaceted problems. 2. Political pundits and the illusion of expertise. Philip Tetlock, a psychologist, spent 20 years studying the accuracy of expert predictions in fields like economics and politics. He found that experts, despite their impressive credentials and in-depth knowledge, were often no better than chance at forecasting future events. Tetlock identified a group of experts he termed hedgehogs, who tended to view the world through the lens of a single, overarching theory. These hedgehogs clung tightly to their beliefs, even when faced with contradictory evidence, leading to inaccurate predictions. Tetlock's research suggests that in unpredictable environments, relying too heavily on narrow expertise and established theories can lead to flawed judgment. 3. Foxes outfox the competition. In his research, Tetlock also identified a group of experts he called foxes, who embraced a more flexible and multidisciplinary approach. These foxes considered a wider range of information, integrated diverse perspectives, and readily adapted their thinking when presented with new data. Tetlock found that the foxes consistently outperformed the hedgehogs in forecasting accuracy, highlighting the benefits of intellectual agility and open-mindedness when dealing with uncertainty. 4. The Challenger disaster, experience as a blinder. The Challenger disaster serves as a tragic example of how reliance on past experience can lead to poor decision-making. Despite warnings from engineers about potential risks associated with launching the space shuttle in cold temperatures, NASA managers, confident in their experience and previous successes, pushed ahead with the mission, resulting in a catastrophic explosion. The Challenger case underscores the importance of questioning assumptions, even when they are based on years of experience, and remaining open to new information, particularly when dealing with high-stakes situations. 5. Breaking free from cognitive entrenchment. Eric Dane, a researcher who studies organizational behavior, uses the term cognitive entrenchment to describe the phenomenon where experts become so specialized in their thinking that they struggle to adapt to new situations or consider alternative approaches. Dane's work suggests that actively seeking out diverse experiences, challenging one's assumptions, and engaging in cross-disciplinary learning can help combat cognitive entrenchment and foster greater intellectual flexibility. Chapter 11. Learning to drop your familiar tools. Twist explores the challenges professionals face when confronted with situations that demand they abandon their well-honed tools and ingrained approaches. Twist uses the case study of the Challenger disaster to illustrate how adherence to established procedures and reliance on familiar data can lead to catastrophic consequences when dealing with unfamiliar problems. It then examines the tendency of experienced professionals, like firefighters, to cling to their tools even when doing so hinders their ability to adapt and survive in dynamic, high-pressure environments. Twist ultimately advocates for a make-do culture that values improvisation and flexibility alongside expertise and reliability. The Carter Racing Case Study, a lesson in incomplete data. Twist begins by presenting the Carter Racing Case Study, a staple of business school curricula, which tasks students with deciding whether a race car team should compete in a high-stakes race despite a history of engine failures. The case study deliberately provides incomplete data, leading many students to misinterpret the situation and make a decision based on a limited understanding of the risks. This exercise highlights the danger of drawing conclusions from incomplete data and the importance of seeking out missing information before making critical decisions. The Carter Racing Case Study serves as a parallel to the Challenger disaster, where NASA managers failed to consider all available data and clung to their belief in the reliability of their procedures, ultimately leading to a tragic outcome. The perils of overlearned behavior and the need for dropping tools. Twist then shifts focus to the work of Carl Weick, a psychologist who studied organizational behavior and decision-making in high-stress environments. Weick observed a curious phenomenon among firefighters. They often clung to their tools even when doing so prevented them from escaping rapidly advancing fires. This seemingly irrational behavior, Weick argues, stems from overlearned behavior where professionals have performed the same actions in response to similar challenges so repeatedly that the behavior becomes automatic and unconscious. In these situations, dropping their tools feels like abandoning their identity and expertise, creating an existential crisis that hinders adaptation. Twist extends this analysis to the Challenger disaster, arguing that NASA managers, faced with ambiguous data and an unfamiliar problem, clung to their established procedures and data-driven decision-making culture, failing to adapt to the unique challenges of the situation. Embracing incongruence, balancing can-do with make-do. Twist concludes by offering a potential solution to the problem of clinging to familiar tools. Organizations should cultivate a culture of incongruence that balances the traditional can-do attitude with a make-do approach that values flexibility and improvisation. This can be achieved by encouraging professionals to engage in diverse experiences, challenging their assumptions, and promoting cross-disciplinary learning. By fostering an environment where individuals are comfortable adapting their tools and approaches to fit the demands of unfamiliar situations, organizations can enhance their capacity for innovation and improve their ability to navigate complex, dynamic environments. 5 examples of dropping familiar tools. 1. The Harvard Business School classroom, the perils of incomplete data. On a fall afternoon, a group of second-year Harvard Business School students gathered to discuss the Carter Racing Case Study. The case study, a classic business school exercise, challenged the students to decide whether a fictional racing team should participate in a major race despite a series of engine failures. The case study deliberately provided incomplete data, tempting the students to draw conclusions based on a limited understanding of the risks involved. The students, eager to apply their analytical skills, debated the merits of racing, focusing on factors like potential financial gains and the perceived expertise of the team's mechanics. However, none of the students questioned the completeness of the data presented in the case study. This exercise mirrored the decision-making process leading to the Challenger disaster, where NASA managers, relying on incomplete data and their confidence in established procedures, made a fatal decision to launch the space shuttle. 2. The Challenger disaster, clinging to procedure in the face of uncertainty. The Challenger disaster serves as a chilling example of the dangers of clinging to familiar tools in the face of unfamiliar challenges. When engineers at Thiokol, the company responsible for the Space Shuttle's solid rocket boosters, raised concerns about the potential impact of cold temperatures on the O-rings, NASA managers pushed back, demanding quantitative data to support the engineers' claims. The engineers, lacking the specific data NASA requested, struggled to articulate their concerns effectively. The pressure to adhere to established procedures and rely on quantifiable data ultimately led NASA managers to dismiss the engineers' warnings, ultimately contributing to the tragic outcome. 3. Wildland firefighters, the deadly grip of tools and identity. Carl Weick, a psychologist who studied high-pressure decision-making, observed that firefighters often clung to their tools even when doing so endangered their lives. In several instances, firefighters perished in rapidly advancing fires because they refused to abandon their heavy equipment, even when ordered to do so. Weick attributed this behavior to overlearned behavior, where repeated actions in response to similar situations become automatic and ingrained. For firefighters, their tools represent more than just equipment, they symbolize their identity and expertise. Dropping their tools, therefore, evokes a sense of losing control and abandoning their professional self. This psychological phenomenon can hinder adaptation and lead to poor decision-making in dynamic, high-stakes situations. 4. Pararescue jumpers, challenging the sacred tool of togetherness. Captain Lesmes, a pararescue jumper, PJ, commander, faced a difficult decision when his team was tasked with rescuing injured soldiers from a remote location in Afghanistan. The information about the situation was limited, and Lesmes realized that carrying his full team, along with the necessary equipment, would exceed the weight capacity of the helicopters. He made the unorthodox call to remain at the base, sacrificing the team's usual practice of deploying together. This decision challenged the deeply ingrained value of togetherness within the PJ community, and several team members questioned Lesmes' judgment. However, Lesmes recognized that clinging to the familiar tool of unity would jeopardize the mission and potentially lead to further casualties. His willingness to break with tradition and adapt to the unique circumstances ultimately ensured the success of the rescue operation. 5. NASA's culture, the need for make-do alongside can-do. The Challenger disaster and subsequent investigations revealed the limitations of NASA's can-do culture, which emphasized confidence, problem-solving, and unwavering adherence to established procedures. While this culture had contributed to NASA's past successes, it also created a blind spot when faced with unfamiliar challenges. In the aftermath of the tragedy, NASA recognized the need for a more flexible and adaptable approach to decision-making. The organization began to encourage what Weick called a make-do culture, which valued improvisation and the ability to adjust to unforeseen circumstances. This shift in mindset, although challenging to implement, aimed to create a more balanced approach that combined expertise and reliability with the ability to adapt and innovate when faced with novel situations. Chapter 12, Deliberate Amateurs. Twist opens with the story of Oliver Smithies, a Nobel Prize-winning molecular biochemist who made significant discoveries during his self-directed Saturday morning experiments. Smithies intentionally set aside time for unstructured exploration, allowing his curiosity to guide him towards new ideas and experimental approaches. This freedom to deviate from his usual work routine led to a breakthrough that earned him a Nobel Prize. Smithies' approach exemplifies the potential of deliberate amateurism to foster creativity and innovation. The outsider advantage, harnessing diverse perspectives and unconventional approaches. Twist draws parallels between Smithies' approach and that of Tu Youyou, a Chinese scientist who discovered artemisinin, a groundbreaking malaria treatment. Tu's unconventional research methods, influenced by her background in traditional Chinese medicine, led her to explore ancient texts and herbal remedies that had been overlooked by mainstream science. Her willingness to look beyond the established scientific paradigms and her ability to synthesize knowledge from diverse sources proved crucial to her success. Both Smithies and Tu embody the outsider advantage, where individuals from non-traditional backgrounds or with diverse experiences can bring fresh perspectives and unconventional approaches to solve problems that have stumped specialists. The value of limited sloppiness and grazing shallow. Twist highlights the work of André Geim, a Nobel Prize-winning physicist known for his innovative research methods. Geim describes his approach as grazing shallow, meaning he intentionally explores a wide range of topics and avoids becoming overly specialized in any one area. This approach, which he contrasts with the straight railway line of traditional academic careers, allows him to remain open to new ideas and make connections that specialists might miss. Geim's approach aligns with Max Delbruck's principle of limited sloppiness, which encourages scientists to embrace a degree of imprecision and flexibility in their work. This sloppiness can lead to unexpected discoveries and foster a more creative mindset. Challenging hyperspecialization, the importance of breadth in education and research. Twist advocates for a more balanced approach to education and research, challenging the current emphasis on early specialization and narrow expertise. Arturo Casadevall, a prominent scientist, argues that current educational curricula, particularly in medicine and science, prioritize the acquisition of highly specialized knowledge at the expense of developing broader critical thinking skills and fostering interdisciplinary collaboration. He contends that this approach stifles creativity and hinders innovation. Casadevall suggests that educators and research institutions should encourage students and researchers to engage in diverse experiences, read widely outside of their fields, and cultivate an appreciation for the interconnectedness of knowledge. Preserving range and inefficiency, cultivating a more innovative ecosystem. Twist concludes by urging institutions to embrace the value of range and inefficiency in fostering innovation. Casadevall argues that while a focus on immediate applications is important, the pursuit of curiosity-driven research and the exploration of seemingly impractical ideas can lead to unexpected breakthroughs. Twist uses the example of retroviruses, a seemingly obscure area of research that yielded crucial insights for the development of HIV treatments. This case illustrates that breakthroughs often emerge from unexpected sources and that a research ecosystem that values breadth and allows for the free play of intellects is more likely to generate transformative discoveries. This echoes a theme from the previous chapter, where we saw that a culture that embraces both can-do and make-do approaches leads to better outcomes. 5 examples of deliberate amateurs. 1. Oliver Smithies' Saturday morning experiments. Oliver Smithies, a Nobel Prize-winning geneticist, consistently made time for Saturday morning experiments, during which he pursued ideas that intrigued him but were not related to his main research projects. He believed that allowing his mind to explore different topics led to valuable insights. Smithies noted that he filled 150 notebooks over his career with thoughts and findings from these explorations, illustrating his commitment to this practice. 2. Tu Youyou's discovery of artemisinin. Tu Youyou, a Chinese scientist with a background in traditional Chinese medicine, discovered artemisinin, a groundbreaking malaria treatment. Tu's success stemmed from her willingness to explore ancient texts and herbal remedies, a path overlooked by mainstream science. Her outsider perspective and ability to combine knowledge from diverse sources allowed her to make a discovery that had eluded specialists. 3. André Geim's grazing shallow approach. André Geim, a Nobel Prize-winning physicist known for his groundbreaking work with graphene, attributes his success to a philosophy he calls grazing shallow, which involves exploring a wide range of research topics rather than specializing in a single area. Geim believes this approach allows him to make connections and generate ideas that specialists might miss. His notable achievements, like the discovery of graphene using Scotch tape to isolate thin layers of graphite, showcase the potential of this approach. 4. Arturo Casadevall's advocacy for breadth. Arturo Casadevall, a prominent scientist, criticizes the current emphasis on hyperspecialization in education, arguing that it limits creativity and the ability to make innovative connections. Casadevall encourages his students to read outside your field, every day something, believing that expanding their worldviews enhances their potential for discovery. He sees value in exploring diverse areas of knowledge, citing examples from literature, history, and philosophy to illustrate the interconnectedness of ideas. 5. Bill Gore's Dabble Time. Bill Gore, the founder of W.L. Gore & Associates, the company known for inventing Gore-Tex, instilled a culture of dabble time in his company. Gore believed that impactful creative work often emerged from periods of crisis because disciplinary boundaries dissolved, fostering collaboration and cross-pollination of ideas. To replicate this dynamic, he encouraged employees to dedicate time to exploring their own interests, believing that these seemingly unstructured pursuits could spark innovation. Chapter 12: Deliberate Amateurs. Twist opens with the story of Oliver Smithies, a Nobel Prize-winning molecular biochemist who made significant discoveries during his self-directed Saturday morning experiments. Smithies intentionally set aside time for unstructured exploration, allowing his curiosity to guide him towards new ideas and experimental approaches. This freedom to deviate from his usual work routine led to a breakthrough that earned him a Nobel Prize. Smithies' approach exemplifies the potential of deliberate amateurism to foster creativity and innovation. The outsider advantage, harnessing diverse perspectives and unconventional approaches. Twist draws parallels between Smithies' approach and that of Tu Youyou, a Chinese scientist who discovered artemisinin, a groundbreaking malaria treatment. Tu's unconventional research methods, influenced by her background in traditional Chinese medicine, led her to explore ancient texts and herbal remedies that had been overlooked by mainstream science. Her willingness to look beyond the established scientific paradigms and her ability to synthesize knowledge from diverse sources proved crucial to her success. Both Smithies and Tu embody the outsider advantage, where individuals from non-traditional backgrounds or with diverse experiences can bring fresh perspectives and unconventional approaches to solve problems that have stumped specialists. The value of limited sloppiness and grazing shallow. Twist highlights the work of André Geim, a Nobel Prize-winning physicist known for his innovative research methods. Geim describes his approach as grazing shallow, meaning he intentionally explores a wide range of topics and avoids becoming overly specialized in any one area. This approach, which he contrasts with the straight railway line of traditional academic careers, allows him to remain open to new ideas and make connections that specialists might miss. Geim's approach aligns with Max Delbruck's principle of limited sloppiness, which encourages scientists to embrace a degree of imprecision and flexibility in their work. This sloppiness can lead to unexpected discoveries and foster a more creative mindset. Challenging hyperspecialization, the importance of breadth in education and research. Twist advocates for a more balanced approach to education and research, challenging the current emphasis on early specialization and narrow expertise. Arturo Casadevall, a prominent scientist, argues that current educational curricula, particularly in medicine and science, prioritize the acquisition of highly specialized knowledge at the expense of developing broader critical thinking skills and fostering interdisciplinary collaboration. He contends that this approach stifles creativity and hinders innovation. Casadevall suggests that educators and research institutions should encourage students and researchers to engage in diverse experiences, read widely outside of their fields, and cultivate an appreciation for the interconnectedness of knowledge. Preserving range and inefficiency, cultivating a more innovative ecosystem. Twist concludes by urging institutions to embrace the value of range and inefficiency in fostering innovation. Casadevall argues that while a focus on immediate applications is important, the pursuit of curiosity-driven research and the exploration of seemingly impractical ideas can lead to unexpected breakthroughs. Twist uses the example of retroviruses, a seemingly obscure area of research that yielded crucial insights for the development of HIV treatments. This case illustrates that breakthroughs often emerge from unexpected sources and that a research ecosystem that values breadth and allows for the free play of intellects is more likely to generate transformative discoveries. This echoes a theme from the previous chapter, where we saw that a culture that embraces both can-do and make-do approaches leads to better outcomes. 5 examples of deliberate amateurs. 1. Oliver Smithies' Saturday morning experiments. Oliver Smithies, a Nobel Prize-winning geneticist, consistently made time for Saturday morning experiments, during which he pursued ideas that intrigued him but were not related to his main research projects. He believed that allowing his mind to explore different topics led to valuable insights. Smithies noted that he filled 150 notebooks over his career with thoughts and findings from these explorations, illustrating his commitment to this practice. 2. Tu Youyou's discovery of artemisinin. Tu Youyou, a Chinese scientist with a background in traditional Chinese medicine, discovered artemisinin, a groundbreaking malaria treatment. Tu's success stemmed from her willingness to explore ancient texts and herbal remedies, a path overlooked by mainstream science. Her outsider perspective and ability to combine knowledge from diverse sources allowed her to make a discovery that had eluded specialists. 3. André Geime's grazing shallow approach. André Geime, a Nobel Prize-winning physicist known for his groundbreaking work with graphene, attributes his success to a philosophy he calls grazing shallow, which involves exploring a wide range of research topics rather than specializing in a single area. Geime believes this approach allows him to make connections and generate ideas that specialists might miss. His notable achievements, like the discovery of graphene using Scotch tape to isolate thin layers of graphite, showcase the potential of this approach. 4. Arturo Casadevall's advocacy for breadth. Arturo Casadevall, a prominent scientist, criticizes the current emphasis on hyperspecialization in education, arguing that it limits creativity and the ability to make innovative connections. Casadevall encourages his students to read outside your field, every day something, believing that expanding their worldviews enhances their potential for discovery. He sees value in exploring diverse areas of knowledge, citing examples from literature, history, and philosophy to illustrate the interconnectedness of ideas. 5. Bill Gore's Dabble Time. Bill Gore, the founder of W.L. Gore & Associates, the company known for inventing Gore-Tex, instilled a culture of dabble time in his company. Gore believed that impactful creative work often emerged from periods of crisis because disciplinary boundaries dissolved, fostering collaboration and cross-pollination of ideas. To replicate this dynamic, he encouraged employees to dedicate time to exploring their own interests, believing that these seemingly unstructured pursuits could spark innovation. I hope that you've enjoyed this presentation, and please remember to subscribe to receive notification of upcoming recordings. This recording is a production of the Vorldrevolution. The video and audio is copyright Vorldrevolution.